I have an obsession with the unattainable, and I need to destroy that which I cannot obtain.
Although a lifelong fan of the Beatles, Mark David Chapman would go on to commit an unthinkable crime. His murder of John Lennon sent shockwaves throughout the world. On this day in 1981, he was sentenced to life behind bars, where he remains to this day. Which of these cases do you find the most shocking? Let us know in the comments.
Jesse James. A Confederate sympathizer during the American Civil War, Jesse James later found national recognition as an outlaw who robbed trains and banks.
Hey, boys. These all for me? Looks like Christmas morning in here.
Stories of his crimes spread from coast to coast, eventually reaching a young man from Missouri named Robert Ford. Ford met James when he was 18 and joined the diminishing James Younger gang.
I can't believe I woke up this morning wondering if my daddy would loan me his overcoat. And here it is just past midnight. I've already robbed a railroad train. I'm sitting in a rocking chair chatting with none other than Jesse James.
However, Ford was eventually swayed by the $10,000 bounty that had been placed on James, and Governor Thomas T. Crittenden offered Ford a full pardon if he betrayed his friend and mentor. So he did just that on April 3, 1882. As James was dusting a picture, Ford shot him in the back of the head. Mikhail Lermontov. This famous and influential Russian author was a leading writer in the Romantic movement. While Lermontov is mostly remembered for his poetry, he was also a successful prose writer and painter.
My magnum opus, Borik. Everybody has one novel in them, and this is mine.
In 1841, Lermontov visited the city of Pyatigorsk and basked in his success. While there, he met his old school friend and admirer of his work, Nikolai Martynov. Martynov even dressed and acted like one of Lermontov's characters, and Lermontov teased him in response.
I have never, in all my campaigns, encountered such insolence!
The teasing got so bad that Martynov challenged Lermontov to a duel. He emerged successful and killed Lermontov on July 27, 1841. Rebecca Schaeffer. A popular TV actress of the 80s, Rebecca Schaeffer starred in the CBS sitcom My Sister Sam, which ran for 2 seasons from 1986 to 88.
Brandon asked you out on a date? Yeah. Sam, that's hysterical. It is? I can't believe you actually thought he asked you out.
Her work in the show attracted the attention of a 19-year-old fan named Robert John Bardo. Obsessed, Bardo began stalking Schaeffer and writing her numerous letters.
She responded to one of them by saying, "Yours was one of the nicest that I got."
In Bardo's mind, this letter in this picture confirms for him what he had been believing or hoping, that she reciprocates these feelings for him.
After Schaeffer appeared in bed with another actor in the movie Scenes from the Class Struggle in Beverly Hills, Bardo grew jealous and tracked Schaeffer to her apartment using a detective agency. Schaeffer was visibly displeased and asked him not to come to her home. After breakfasting at a nearby diner, Bardo returned anyway and shot her when she answered the door. She was just 21 years old.
Mr. Bardo stated, "I forgot to give you something," withdrew a handgun from his waistband and shot her once in the chest.
Albert Ebose Bodjongo. This soccer player from Cameroon played professionally from 2008 to 2014, and his death is shrouded in mystery. On August 23, 2014, Bodjongo was playing a home game with JS Kabylie. The team lost, so the home team fans were irate.
Missile throwing is a problem around the world, but in North Africa in particular, where things can get a bit passionate, it's not something you can say is often, but it does happen.
As Bodjongo was leaving the field, he was reportedly struck in the head by a projectile thrown from the stands. Bodjongo suffered a traumatic brain injury and died just a few hours later.
The 24-year-old who played for JS Kabylie died after being hit by an object thrown from the stands, while his side was losing at home. He was announced dead after being taken to hospital.
This was the official story provided by Algerian authorities. However, a Cameroonian pathologist named Andre Moon later told the BBC that Bojongo's injuries suggested he'd been beaten. Regardless, no one was ever charged for his death.
We will show him today how much we valued him. He was the rising star of football in our country. We lost a very good player, and the nation is here to welcome him back.
Andrés Escobar. Perhaps the most famous soccer player in Colombia's history, Andrés Escobar was a great athlete and worked hard to promote a positive image of his country.
Colombia's Andrés Escobar was 27, a respected and talented defender whose future had no limits.
Unfortunately, one simple mistake cost Escobar his life. During the 1994 World Cup, Colombia was playing against the United States when Escobar accidentally scored on his own net, which cost Colombia the game. A few days later, Escobar visited a nightclub in Medellin, where he was shot and killed in the parking lot. The assailant, Humberto Castro Muñoz, was a drug cartel bodyguard and driver. Escobar may have been killed on the orders of Santiago Gallón, who had gambled on the game and lost big.
His nation mourned. More than 120,000 people attended Escobar's funeral.
Gianni Versace. The link between fashion designer Gianni Versace and spree killer Andrew Cunanan is debated.
In 1997, Andrew Cunanan sent authorities on a frantic cross-country manhunt as he drove state to state, killing 4 people along the way, ultimately arriving at Gianni Versace's doorstep in Miami.
Maureen Orth of Vanity Fair and various FBI agents claim that Versace and Cunanan met at a San Francisco nightclub back in 1990. However, Versace's family remains adamant that the fashion icon never met Cunanan in person. Orth also claims that Cunanan often name-dropped Versace, proving some type of fandom, or at least a dangerous obsession. On July 15, 1997, Cunanan shot and killed Versace outside of his Miami mansion.
It was 8:45 in the morning. He was walking home, alone, from the famous South Beach News Cafe. Journalist Maureen Orth.
He just very boldly crossed the street, walked up right behind him, and shot him in the head.
His true motive remains a mystery, although some have theorized that he did it for publicity. Christina Grimmie. This American singer rose to internet fame uploading cover songs to YouTube, and eventually found success on the 6th season of The Voice. She finished in 3rd place and signed with Island Records. Grimmie eventually caught the attention of a man named Kevin James Loibel, who developed an unhealthy fascination. He traveled from St. Petersburg, Florida to Orlando as Grimmie was performing at the Plaza Live.
Grimmie was opening for the band Before You Exit in Orlando, Florida, posting a call out on social media before the show.
Please come to the show if you live near Orlando, Florida.
After the performance, Grimmie was signing autographs when she was shot by Loibel, who took his own life shortly after. Grimmie was rushed to the hospital, but pronounced dead half an hour after the shooting.
Following the news of her death, some of music's biggest stars finding ways to remember their friend.
Dimebag Darrell. Darrell Lance Abbott was the famous guitarist of iconic heavy metal band Pantera. The band saw great success in the mid-90s with their album Far Beyond Driven reaching #1 in the United States. He also played for the lesser-known Damage Plan.
And y'all are #1. We're back with a Damage Plan to blow it up everywhere.
While performing with his band on December 8, 2004, Abbott was shot by a fan named Nathan Gale. Gale shot several others too, killing 3 and injuring a further 3, before being killed by a police officer.
When a gunman rushed the stage and shot him several times, 3 people, not including the gunman, died in the shooting. The gunman was killed by police.
Abbott was pronounced dead at the scene, and Gale's motive still remains uncertain. Selena. An iconic Latin artist, Selena saw enormous success in the United States. In fact, her posthumous album Dreaming of You is the highest-selling Latin album in American history as of 2022, having sold 3 million copies. Her work reached the ears of Yolanda Saldivar, who began a Selena fan club that eventually reached 5,000 members. She later became the manager of Selena's beauty boutique and salon business, Selena Etc. However, Saldivar used both to embezzle tens of thousands of dollars.
In March, both he and Selena confronted Saldivar.
My last words with her was that I was going to go to the police to see what we could do, to charge her with something. She was stealing money.
This put a strain on Selena and Saldivar's friendship and business agreement. On March 31st, 1995, Selena met with Saldivar at a Days Inn, and Saldivar shot Selena in the shoulder. The bullet severed Selena's subclavian artery, and she tragically died of blood loss.
Her whole world was walking out the door and she wouldn't stand for it, so she shot her.
John Lennon. Although a longtime fan of the Beatles, Mark David Chapman became enraged at what he saw as blasphemous statements made by singer John Lennon.
I'm not saying that we're better or greater or comparing us with Jesus Christ as a person or God as a thing or whatever it is. I just said what I said and it was wrong or was taken wrong, and now it's all this.
Chapman had become a born-again Presbyterian in 1971. He also developed an obsession with The Catcher in the Rye and wished to emulate its protagonist, Holden Caulfield, by acting out against supposed phoniness.
I was probably angered at his phoniness. I wasn't fuming, but I was saying what a fake he was, what a phony he was. Then I thought to myself that I was going to kill John Lennon.
After traveling to New York, Chapman loitered outside Lennon's apartment complex on December 8, 1980. He got Lennon's signature as he exited the complex, but when Lennon returned hours later, Chapman shot him from behind 4 times.
He walked past me. I took 5 steps toward the street, turned, withdrew my Charter Arms 38, and fired 5 shots into his back.
Chapman spent the rest of his life behind bars and, as of 2022, has been denied parole 11 times.